She doesn't speak loudly, she doesn't interrupt your thoughts, but she's always there, the girl you once were. Before the world taught you to shrink, before you learned that softness was weakness, before you understood that love could be taken from you without warning, and whether you know it or not, she still lives inside of you, not as a memory, but as a wound, not as an echo of the past, but as the quiet rhythm beneath everything you do. She shapes how you receive, how you trust, how you protect, how you hide. This is not just about inner child healing. This is about feminine essence, the magnetic, sacred, intuitive current of energy that flows through a woman when she finally feels safe in her own skin, and you cannot access it fully until the girl inside you feels safe first. Let's go back, not to the facts of your childhood, but to what you felt, because what shapes a woman is not what happened, but what she had to hold in silence. You don't need to remember the year it happened. You don't need to know who caused it. Your body knows, your nervous system remembers, and your feminine core still carries the armor. You had to build around your softness to survive. Maybe she was the girl who stopped asking questions because no one had time to answer. Maybe she was the girl who smiled too much because someone told her being pleasant is the only way to be loved. Maybe she became the strong one because everyone else kept falling apart. Or maybe she was simply too quiet, too watchful, too sensitive, and no one ever asked why. And so, she learned to disappear in order to be acceptable. She learned to play roles. She learned to be what others needed. She learned to sense the mood in the room before she even knew how to sense herself. But the feminine essence cannot live inside a woman who is still abandoning her softness. Because feminine essence is not about how you look. It's not about seduction. It's not about performance. It's about the energy that flows when your inner girl no longer needs to protect herself from life. That's when your body stops resisting. That's when your voice softens. That's when your intuition returns. Because she is no longer on high alert. She is no longer performing safety. She is simply being. CARL Jung said that wholeness requires integration, not suppression, not pretending, not fixing. Integration, and that begins with asking yourself, where did I stop feeling safe being soft? Where did I trade truth for acceptance? Where did I learn to feel ashamed for simply needing because the world taught you to be useful, to be productive, to be strong, to be everything for everyone, to give without asking, to hold space for others while emptying yourself, to smile even when your heart was trembling. But your feminine essence does not awaken under pressure. She awakens in presence, and presence requires slowing down, not in your schedule, but in your nervous system, in your breath, in your inner dialogue, in the space between your reactions and your truth. The inner girl is not asking you to become a child again. She's asking you to stop treating her like a threat, stop pushing her away, stop rolling your eyes when she shows up with needs, stop silencing her when she asks for gentleness, because the parts of you that need love the most are the ones you've been avoiding the longest. This isn't weakness, this is sacred repair. You can't release your feminine until you release the shame of having one. And that shame was never yours to carry. And for many women, that shame started early, the moment you were told you're too emotional, too sensitive, too needy, too quiet, too loud, too much of anything that couldn't be controlled. So, you learned to self-correct, to overthink, to check yourself before speaking, to measure your presence by how little space you take up, to apologize for your softness, to tone down your joy, to hide your sadness, to become invisible where you were meant to be radiant. And now, as a grown woman, you wonder why your body tenses when you want to receive, why your heart races when someone tries to love you, why softness feels dangerous, why rest feels lazy, why expression feels unsafe, why joy feels fleeting, why love feels earned, because somewhere deep inside, the girl you once were still believes that being fully you means losing love, so you hold back, you manage, you survive, you perform, but you don't flow, you don't surrender, you don't glow. That's not your fault. It's the cost of a culture that honors utility over essence, doing over being, control over connection, speed over stillness. But something in you is waking up, because you're here now, listening, feeling, remembering, not because you want to go back, but because your feminine future depends on what you're willing to hold now without running. You are not fragile, you are layered, and your power is not in perfection, it's in the parts of you that are learning to breathe. Again, after years of holding your breath, your feminine essence does not emerge when everything is perfect. She returns when you stop pretending to be someone you're not. She returns when you sit with the grief of who you had to become to survive. She returns when you listen to the trembling voice inside and say, I hear you. That voice is not broken. She's just tired of being dismissed. And every time you show up with softness, every time you don't betray what you feel, every time you choose compassion over criticism, you are healing her. You are giving her a new memory, not of trauma, but of trust, not of performance, but of presence, not of fear, but of freedom. That of freedom and the woman you are becoming can only rise from the place where the girl inside you no longer feels exiled. This is not about going backward, it's about coming home. This is the doorway, and you are already standing in it. You don't need to rush through it, just breathe, and take her hand. Before we go deeper, if you're on a journey of healing your unconscious wounds and reconnecting with your feminine essence, the JUNG method is a powerful guide. It helps you turn hidden patterns into conscious clarity. You'll find the link in the pinned comment below this video. Now let's return to her. She waits. She doesn't knock on your door with urgency. She doesn't demand your attention. She waits quietly beneath your strength, beneath your smile, beneath your self-control. She is not here to weaken you. She is here to remind you that your feminine essence cannot rise from a place of silence and survival. You don't need more discipline. You need softness. You need a safe place to land inside yourself. You need permission to stop being who the world trained you to be and become who you were before you learned to hide. She doesn't want you to abandon your strength. She just wants you to stop confusing strength with self-abandonment. Because every time you say yes when your soul says no, you betray her. Every time you ignore your body's whisper, you disconnect. Every time you dismiss your emotions as irrational, you pushed her deeper into exile. And the woman you are becoming does not need to live in exile from her truth. You don't have to earn worthiness. You don't have to prove your softness isn't weakness. You don't have to shrink your emotions to be lovable. Your feminine essence is not something you create. It is something you return to. It was always there. It just went quiet because it didn't feel safe. Let her speak, not with logic, but with breath, with slowness, with feeling. Let her remind you what it means to feel without apologizing, to ask without fear, to open without calculation. You were not born to manage emotions like spreadsheets. You were born to flow, to move, to feel, and to sense truth before it's spoken. Your feminine essence is not loud, but it is infinite. It nourishes. It sees what others miss. It softens what is hard. It receives what is sacred. But to access this, you must first forgive yourself for every time you needed softness and reached for numbness instead. Forgive yourself for the times you stayed when your body was screaming to leave. Forgive yourself for being available to people who only knew how to take. Forgive yourself for mistaking being needed with being loved. There is no healing without forgiveness of your younger self. She did what she had to do. She coped. She adapted. She carried the weight no one else was willing to hold. But now you are here. Now you are the one who gets to offer her what she never had. You do that every time you feel something and let it move through you. You do that every time you rest without guilt. You do that every time you speak your truth without asking for permission. Feminine essence lives in the body, not the appearance of it, but the experience. She awakens when you stop rushing, when you stop explaining, when you stop justifying. She awakens when you let go of the story that you're too much. She awakens when you hold your own emotions as sacred messengers, not obstacles. Sometimes the most radical thing a woman can do is soften without collapsing. Sometimes it's saying, I need, without apology. Sometimes it's crying without editing the sound. Sometimes it's laughing without wondering who's watching. Healing your inner girl is not about returning to innocence. It's about reclaiming your essence without fear. It's remembering that sensitivity is not fragility. It's remembering that love is not something you earn. It's remembering that presence is more powerful than performance. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. And presence requires space, not just physical space, but emotional room to feel what you feel without having to justify it. This is what healing her looks like. It's creating space in your own life where she doesn't have to shrink anymore. It's no longer gaslighting yourself when you feel too deeply. It's allowing grief to visit without shame. It's allowing joy to stay without fear. Because real joy is not just pleasure. It is the sense of finally being safe in your own skin. Feminine essence thrives in safety. Not safety from the world, but but safety with yourself. When your body becomes a place where your own emotions are welcome, everything changes. You stop seeking validation. You stop managing others' feelings to stay invisible, and you begin to return, not to a past version of yourself, but to a future where you are no longer hiding. Let her guide you. Let her pain speak. Let her joy dance. Let her silence echo. Let her presence grow. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are remembering who you were before the world taught you to forget. That remembering is not linear. It comes in waves. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you'll collapse. That doesn't mean you're failing. That means you're alive. Your inner girl doesn't need you to fix her. She needs you to sit beside her, to hold her hand when no one else will, to say, "I've got you now." Because the truth is, no one else is coming to rescue her. That's your job now. And when you do, something shifts. Not just inside of you, but around you. You begin to attract people who feel your wholeness. Not because you are loud, but because you are real. You begin to speak differently, walk differently, hold eye contact longer. You stop chasing. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing, because you've remembered that your softness was never the problem. It was the portal. And the more you nurture it, the more alive you become. Healing your inner girl is not a task. It's a remembering. It's a reunion. It's a homecoming to the version of you that never stopped dreaming. She dreamed of rest, of love, of softness without fear. She dreamed of being seen and not fixed, of being felt and not used. And now, you are the one who can make those dreams real, not by changing the world, but by changing how you treat yourself in moments of pain. Next time you want to disconnect, pause. Next time you want to control, breathe. Next time you want to perform, come back. Come back to the place inside of you that only wants to feel. That's where your feminine essence lives. Not in perfection, not in performance, but in permission. Permission to feel, permission to rest, permission to be. She's not waiting for you to become someone new. She's waiting for you to remember who you already are. And when you do, your entire life softens. Your relationships shift. Your energy expands. Your joy deepens. Your love becomes magnetic. Not because you are doing more, but because you are being more. And that is what healing looks like. It's not loud, but it is powerful. It's not instant, but it is lasting. And it starts with a single choice: to stop running and start listening. She's ready, and so are you.